Hi and welcome to the Profit Being You section of Into Me IC magazine, and today I have the absolute privilege to be speaking with Kat Mikic from Women's Web Marketing in Australia, Western Australia actually. And of course I've had the pleasure of knowing Kat for quite a few years now when we first met online, and then have worked in workshops with her and done numerous projects. And with regards to the reflections in relationships issue, I could think of nobody else to speak about the power of networking than this amazing person. So, Kat, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. What a nice introduction.
You actually created a huge network online. And how did you do that to start with? Like, what sort of, because I remember you had a lot of resistance to start with about the whole social media thing, but you've actually got a lot of
Oh,
followers now.
it's quite funny because things have evolved so rapidly, and I think Facebook has just taken everything to a whole new level. But I started actually creating networks back on, and I'm sure you'll remember the Ning network when Ning was quite huge, and it was free back then as well. So it was really easy to create community. Probably not quite as easy to find people to build the communities as it is now, but that was my first actual online community, and then really using Facebook. It's Facebook has been amazing for me. I actually launched the Bunbury Business Women's Network, a local network for women, and had 150 women in the network in like 2 days, which is
Wow.
really, really cool.
Yeah.
And the Women's Web Marketing Network's probably up to around 160, which I haven't really put a lot of effort into growing, so I've kind of been a bit offline. But yeah, like literally, it's possible now to start a network and grow it overnight. Once you understand how networking works, and you've been networking with the right people for a while as well.
Okay, so let's go back then maybe before your online presence, because you've always been involved in business development and marketing. What would you do, in your normal workday as such, way back when you were building other people's businesses?
Well, it's really interesting. I ran a charter company way back when. It was fantastic. It was in a nice sunny area. It never rained. It was tropical and beautiful. I loved it. And it was actually probably my first understanding of how much passion could drive a business, because I was so passionate about it. And everyone actually automatically assumes the business was mine because I loved it so much. So I used to do a lot of networking with that business when we went to tourism functions and even local networking. And I guess really it was my first understanding of how powerful having good relationships and networks can be for a business.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, I mean, you're a bright, bubbly, beautiful girl, and I know some people would probably go, "Oh, it's got to be easy for Kat to walk into a room and meet people and mingle and what have you." But what would you suggest to anybody who's maybe a little bit more shy or, not so much into that? Because I think this really filters through online as well, about the masks and stuff we have with ourselves. So I'd like your opinion on offline first.
Well, it's really funny because people who see me and know me now just could not even imagine that this was a possibility. But when I first took that job, I was so nervous and I had such little self-confidence. I can remember like thinking I was just getting this job running an internet cafe, and it turned out that I was running the whole thing. And I was so it was my job to go out, see everybody, take the brochures, have a chat to them about the business. And the first day I actually went to do it, I can remember, like I could still feel the feeling. I was so nervous and I felt sick. And I was like, literally, I had the brochures in my hand shaking. I just didn't know what to say to people, and I was so afraid. And I mean, really, at the end of the day, it just took practice and going in nice and slow and gaining confidence slowly. And I think that regardless, really, whether you're online or offline, the only way you can get better at something is to keep doing it and sort of face the fear and do it anyway. So for me, especially because I had a bit of a presence online eventually, people would see me online doing that stuff. And so they think I would be really confident. But if I walked into a room, I knew that people would know who I was, and that would make me even more self-conscious because I'd be wondering what they were thinking about me, and
The
I like would literally,
expectations. Yeah.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah, and I would literally crap myself, and I'd be, so instead of busting out like I would on a YouTube video, I was actually really quiet, and I'd just sort of try and hide and sneak in and sneak out. Whereas now it's completely different. I'm one of those people that like the shy people probably get really annoyed by. I just walk in, it's like, yeah, hey, and chat, chat, chat. But I really think probably what makes that the easiest is just really putting yourself in a place of self-acceptance. Don't worry if you stumble on words. People aren't going to, I think you're just hinging too much on what other people are going to think. And that is enough to make anybody nervous, I reckon.
Look, I think you tapped on it right at the start of the video as well, where that talking about passion, you know, with regards to being, very young and nervous, walking in with a bunch of brochures to talk to people about, you're having to do sales as such, but also build a relationship. Two things come to mind is I know what you were selling. This charter company was actually doing some amazing stuff, particularly with whale sharks. Now, how can you not be passionate about something so cool like that? Particularly being a Piscean and a water baby and a fisher, and it's like that passion was there, so you believed in your product. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm sort of saying, well, how much weight did that have on you to maybe help you gain that confidence to talk to people and build relationships, knowing that you had a good product?
Well, it's everything because when life before the charter company, I was a beauty therapist and I did cosmetics and skincare. And I can distinctly remember working in a salon, and you're expected to make sales, and so, but I had issues with the product that was there, so I couldn't sell what they were wanting me to sell because I didn't believe in it. Yet, after with a completely different product that I'd been trained in that I loved, it was easy to sell because I did believe in what I was saying. Now, I mean, ultimately, that still comes down to your own perception on yourself and what you're selling. And some people are pretty good at brainwashing themselves to, become aligned because I don't think you can successfully network and push your stuff if you don't believe in what you're doing at the end of the day. Like, it's just really not, it's inauthentic.
Well, I was going to say, it is all about the authenticity. I mean, yes, there are some gifted people on the planet who can sell ice to Eskimos, but
But
this,
it's just it. Like, I could do that. Literally, if I wanted to, I could. I could because I'm just a born marketer. But you've got to live with yourself as well, I think, at the end of the day. So if you are going out to a networking event or, I mean, some you can even really classify just general conversations with other business people as networking exercises because literally they are. And I just think you don't, it's not about selling. It never is with networking. So you don't even have to worry about that element. It
yeah.
really is just about communicating the truth. So how exciting is that?
Well, that's where I think the segue, like, I mean, to some people, the idea of networking is a bit like going along and having to be a salesperson or a marketer. But in actual fact, when even if we tune into some of the talks from Seth Godin, talks about tribes, he's an amazing marketer, and it's like if you've got a great idea or a great product, it's the networking, it's the being of service and the providing value that actually enables that I guess perpetual wheel to keep rolling, and that's where I feel that completely outside of sales and marketing, that you've got such amazing expertise and a natural gift to be able to tap into that being authentic and building a network, building a tribe. On tribes, what does that mean to you? Like, because you actually incorporate that in your own program, don't you?
Yeah. Well, for me, my tribe is actually, it was all really about education. But okay, it's really, I find it difficult sometimes with networking because there is kind of that dirty element to it where, yes, you are networking for a reason, like, and people can have like a negative connotation on it. But at the end of the day, I kind of think, well, if people are benefiting and it's helping people, then it really doesn't matter if the outcome's a sale or mean, ultimately you would want the outcome to be a sale anyway, but I'm not saying that's just, specifically wholly and solely why I do what I do. But I mean, for me and for anybody, it gives you, having your own tribe gives you benefits like being able to get instant traffic to blog posts, the word of mouth, comments on your Facebook. And for them, it's just like this unconditional support network. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of them actually probably realize what they could be getting out of it if they were really feeding on it, because there is that expectation of, people won't do stuff for free. So, but we've had heaps of things come up, like the girls, it's just a really nice little support. So, like, really, it's a support platform. And to be honest, like, there might have been people who've kicked around in there for a few years and we've never really connected, or they haven't wanted anything done, but eventually they're like, oh, well, they know to come and ask me about it, or that I'll know who can help them. So that's really nice for me to be able to create that supportive environment.
Yeah, and I think I'm seeing as well, like the potential joint ventures, which you've been involved in a lot as well. Like you see, the amazing gifts that some people have, and you'll joint venture with them, or you'll barter trade. So there's always that kind of exchange going on. But that can only come from building a relationship.
Absolutely. And okay, so most recently I got invited to be in a co-collaboration in a book with, I think it's about 25 other women. And that opportunity would have never, ever been presented to me had I not have been networking. And when I network with Facebook, I mean, we automatically think of networks as numbers of people. But really within networking is the individual relationship. And I was introduced to this woman because when I network, I'm open. I won't accept a friend onto my friends list without first having a look at who they are, where they're from, and what we have in common. And when I do accept a friend request, whether it be, if I follow someone in Twitter, I'll make an effort to have a conversation. And it's always those things that have made the difference. There's people who think that networking is about just building numbers, but numbers mean nothing. You can have very small numbers and amazing results if you're really focused on what you're actually doing. So for me, I've, like I said, I've had the book deal go through, and amazing relationships with, some of the incredible women I've met that I never would have known. And, regardless of whether it's been a monetary exchange, just even learning with other people, and it's just, incredible. The opportunities are so endless, absolutely endless.
And a key point of this particular issue is definitely talking about reflections in the relationship, like through the people that you have built in your networks of, the Bunbury businesswomen, the online Facebook, you're being incredibly of service. Like you give away so much of your value and your time and education. So therefore people are definitely, able to absorb that and take advantage, not take advantage, but, appreciate that. But
Yeah.
when you get a reflection back to you, what is it like? Even if it's a negative or a positive, can you sort of think of any people that you've dealt with where you've learned something about yourself through the relationship that you've had from somebody in your network?
To be honest, in the last 12 months, I feel like just about every single dealing has been a lesson to myself. Because for me, like my strengths were like, and have been with online marketing and social media marketing, and people automatically assume that means you know lots about business. And I've ran businesses, but this is still in effect my very first business I've built from the ground up, without chopping and changing my ideas every 5 minutes and doing something new, being a creative. But so from an actual business, and then not only that, but the communities that kind of surround my business. So it's kind of like building all these building blocks. And I just found, like, through helping other people with their startups, I've learned different things about, you know, different tricks in my own startups, and more things about web, you know, just so many things. And probably I think the biggest gift is, like, I have got to hear myself 2 years ago so many times. And the conversations of, well, I've got 500 ideas and I don't know where to start, and I'm going to do them all. And, you know, and I kind of have a bit of a, like, Good luck with that. Not really, though, but I can kind of say now, you know, I can look into a situation now and guide them. And without these relationships with every single person, I wouldn't have grown. I would have really honestly sat stagnant because I'm not the mum go down and have, talk about nappies and sleep and babies. That's not me. So my whole world really does revolve around the networks online and people that I meet online. That hopefully then, I've actually been lucky enough that a few of those relationships now have gone offline and we're friends offline too. But I never would have met those women without having created these networks.
Yeah. And well, talking about the mothers club sort of thing as well, I think the really cool part is that, like you say, you're not going to sit around and talk about the babies, the aspect, whatever. You've worked with some people who are mums. Your passion for that sort of work from home or tap into your creativity, it's so inspiring because you see in people what they can't see in themselves. You see the
Yeah.
ability for them to create something.
Honestly, and I'll have to say, honestly, becoming a mother was the most humbling experience. Nothing brings you crashing back down to earth like having full responsibility, running on minimal sleep, as a child. And I've got to say, I actually get like really annoyed when people have a bit of a thing about this mumpreneur label. Like, seriously, you go do it and then have a bitch about the mumpreneur label because it's not easy. And I think, regardless of whether you've got kids or not, if especially for mums, and that's why the mumpreneur label and mumpreneurs are thriving because it is that extra support. And when you're at home with kids, it's hard enough to get out of the door sometimes, like, make it somewhere on time. So, networks like that, I think, have been invaluable. And women, I think Australia statistically has the largest amount of women starting businesses from home. And how cool is that? Like, it's really exciting.
Really exciting. But like you say, that supporting aspect of, the networks that you can take from online to offline to be meeting people, it's supporting, helping, growing. It's just huge.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah. Super cool. Well, thank you so much, Kat. And for more details about what Kat's doing and meeting up with her online and possibly being invited into her network if you meet her criteria. We'll have some links on the page. Go.
Before you go,
Yep.
I think there's just one really important thing I want to share. And I honestly think probably one of the biggest reasons that I am so successful with networking is I really do not care. And I've got to honestly say that I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I just have let go of all of that. And it is so freeing because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And, it's been massive, for me, massive self-growth and self-improvement the whole way through this journey. And I've got to say, I was quite aggressive with it all in the early days because that's how I thought it worked. But now I kind of like whether a relationship turns into something or doesn't turn into something, it doesn't matter. It's because you never know where it's going to lead. That's the exciting thing. You don't know what doors you're actually opening. And sometimes it might be 6 months down the track and all of a sudden it all lines up. You're like, well, if I didn't meet that person who introduced me to that person, the opportunities wouldn't have come. So it's like just let it go and try and relax and just really enjoy it because it's like treat it like going to a party and have fun with it because that's how it should be.
Hugely powerful message because really it's about letting go of attachments, agendas, and expectations.
Absolutely.
If you just show up authentically, yes, you've got something, whether it be your own product or something that you're wanting to develop into a product. If you don't get out there and meet people, you're not going to find the right pieces of the puzzle to make it all happen. And it's
And
about not being attached to it.
No, and look, this is an absolute classic example, and I'm hilarious for this because I had for almost 2 years people saying to me, "We don't even know what you do, Kat. What is it you do? Is it websites? Is it social media?" And I'm like, "Well, because I've never sold. Like, it was just turning up and sharing what I loved, and that may have been all different aspects of online marketing or what I was doing, but yet I have managed to have consistent clients using nothing other than Facebook for 2 years. So that's saying something." And that was without having anything selling, any way someone could buy from me online other than talk to me.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
Incredibly
powerful.
powerful.
Pretty powerful. Thank you so much,
Okay,
sweetheart. And
my
yeah,
pleasure.
look forward to seeing you again in future issues of Into Me I See magazine.
I would love to.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay.